Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Sometimes, the brightest lights fade too soon, and the world is left searching for answers. Today, we uncover new developments behind the heartbreaking death of beloved Chinese actor and singer Yu Menglong. A man who touched millions with his gentle voice, his pure heart, and his quiet strength. As the truth slowly comes to light, fans across the world are asking, what really happened? And why did such a kind soul leave us in silence? The moment the news broke of Yu Menglong's sudden passing, an invisible wave of disbelief swept through China's entertainment world and far beyond. It was as though an entire nation had lost not just a beloved artist, but a part of its collective heart. For years, Yu had built a reputation that was rare in an industry often colored by rumors and scandals. He was known for humility, integrity, and an almost childlike sincerity that touched those who worked with him. His performances were not loud declarations of fame, but quiet celebrations of authenticity. When the headlines began to appear, people refused to believe them. Many refreshed their screens in denial, hoping that the story was false or exaggerated. But as confirmations followed, reality set in, and the silence that came after was heavy and painful. The streets of Beijing, Shanghai, and Chengdu filled with fans carrying white lilies and candles. In cafes, his songs played softly, echoing through the spaces where he once smiled during interviews. Online, millions of comments poured in from Seoul, Bangkok, Tokyo, Paris, and Los Angeles. People from different languages and cultures found themselves united by grief, each writing the same message in their own words. Why him? And he was too kind for this world. The tragedy felt deeply personal even to those who had never met him, because Yu Menglong's warmth had crossed borders through music, dramas, and his gentle presence on social media. In an era when fame can be fleeting and facades common, Yu represented something genuine. His laughter in behind-the-scenes videos, his simple fashion choices, and his quiet respect for colleagues all became reminders that simplicity could still shine brightly amid the noise of celebrity life. His death did not just shock people. It forced them to confront the fragility of those they idolized. Behind every smiling poster was a human being carrying unseen struggles. The sorrow that blanketed fans was not only for a life lost but also for the innocence that vanished with him. And as the city lights dimmed that night, a strange stillness hung in the air. A collective pause, as if the world itself was mourning a star whose light had gone out far too soon. Weeks after Yu Menglong's passing, when the fog of grief still clouded the hearts of millions, an unexpected development pierced the silence. The authorities announced that they had uncovered a new suspect believed to be connected to the mysterious circumstances surrounding his death. The statement was brief yet powerful enough to stir a storm of emotions across the nation. For many, it was the first glimpse of clarity after weeks of uncertainty. For others, it reopened wounds they were just beginning to close. The revelation reignited every unanswered question that had haunted fans since the tragedy first unfolded. Questions about who, why, and how something so tragic could happen to someone who had lived with such grace. Investigators revealed that the discovery was not a coincidence but the result of relentless analysis. Surveillance cameras were reviewed frame by frame, digital traces examined, and forensic reports revisited until a pattern emerged that could no longer be ignored. It was this meticulous attention to detail that led the authorities to a person who had never been on their initial watch list. That, perhaps, was what shocked the public most, the realization that the truth might have been hiding in plain sight. Suddenly, whispers filled social media, not only with speculation but with cautious hope that the case might finally move towards justice. The news spread rapidly beyond China's borders. International media outlets picked up the story, and hashtags bearing Yu Menglong's name trended once again. People who had never met him followed the investigation closely, compelled by a mixture of sadness and curiosity. Yet amid the renewed attention, there was a collective plea for restraint, for respect towards the process and towards Yu's memory. His friends and colleagues urged the public to let the truth emerge naturally rather than drown it in rumor. Still, the emotional weight of the breakthrough was undeniable. It felt as though a door that had long been locked had suddenly creaked open, offering a glimpse of something beyond the darkness. Whether that light would lead to answers or more heartbreak remained uncertain. But for the first time since Yu Menglong's passing, there was movement. An awakening of faith that justice, no matter how delayed, might still find its way to those who continue to mourn and remember him with unbroken devotion. When the world learned of Yu Menglong's death, grief traveled faster than words could form. His absence was not merely noticed. It was felt in the quiet spaces he once filled with laughter, in the unfinished projects that still bore his touch, and in the hearts of those who had walked beside him through the unpredictable tides of fame. Among those most deeply affected were his close friends, Wang Yibo and Xiao, who had shared with him both professional triumphs and personal dreams. Their responses were not statements crafted for the media but raw, human expressions of pain that transcended celebrity. Wang Yibo spoke softly in an interview, his voice trembling as he described you as a man who never complained, even when life felt unbearable. Xiao Zhan's tribute came in the form of a letter short, unembellished, and heartbreakingly sincere. "He was more than a colleague," he wrote. "He was a brother I never had." These gestures resonated deeply, igniting a wave of collective mourning that blurred the boundaries of geography and language. From Seoul to Singapore, Paris to Los Angeles, fans gathered both online and in person, creating a tapestry of remembrance that stretched across continents. Virtual memorials were streamed, timelines flooded with his photos and music, and digital candles illuminated screens long after midnight. The sound of his voice, once a symbol of serenity, became an echo of longing. His songs, replayed endlessly, were no longer just melodies but moments of connection between strangers united by loss. In those days of mourning, the entertainment world seemed to pause. Fellow actors spoke of his quiet generosity, crew members remembered the way he greeted everyone by name, and fans shared personal stories of how his work had lifted them through their own struggles. It was as if the world had suddenly remembered the value of kindness, the fragile beauty of a life lived without pretense. And yet, amidst the sorrow, there was also a quiet grace. People who had never met began to comfort one another, offering words of empathy that felt genuine and unguarded. Yu Menglong's passing became more than a tragedy. It became a lesson in connection, an unspoken reminder that even in death, love continues to weave through the hearts of those willing to remember. But grief soon turned into a mission. People began demanding transparency, not just in Yu Menglong's case, but within the entire entertainment industry. Behind the glittering lights, countless artists carry invisible burdens. Sleepless nights, unrelenting pressure, and isolation masked by smiles. Even Wang Yibo, during a press event, reminded the world, artists are not machines. They are human beings who need rest, love, and understanding. His words resonated deeply, sparking conversations in China, Korea, and even Europe about mental health, compassion, and reform. For many, Yu Menglong's death became more than a tragedy. It became a mirror reflecting the hidden pain of countless dreamers. Today, his music still plays in cafes, his dramas still stream online, and his smile continues to live in the hearts of those who loved him. Every candle lit, every message shared, is proof that Yu Menglong's spirit remains unbroken. He reminds us that even when life seems fragile, kindness and sincerity never fade. Through remembrance, we transform loss into purpose and tragedy into change. If this story touched your heart, help us keep Yu Menglong's legacy alive. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to Star Watch now for more heartfelt stories of truth, courage, and humanity behind Asia's brightest stars. Thank you for being with us, and remember, the stars we lose may leave the sky, but their light forever remains in our hearts.